Hi, it's Tony from CassetteComeback.com, and today I'm doing a video really for the new guys. And this video is on metal tapes, Type 4 tapes. I haven't done a video on Type 4 tapes. So I thought, a lot of you new guys out there see metal tapes, people praising metal tapes, and more importantly see the price of metal tapes and think, good grief, what is this all about? So a bit of history. Metal tape, from what I understand, was developed more for studio and live use. It was there to be able to capture stuff hot, live and clear, and also to be used in studios to give, copies to artists or PR men after a session's recording, so they've got a good idea of what it's going to sound like. Now, metal tapes were always expensive. I know when I was young and I had, BPC decks, and BPC stands for black plastic crap, decks and boom boxes. I remember looking at the prices of metal tapes and going, what? I mean, look at this one, right? I've left the sticker on this one for posterity reasons. This one is from the mid to late 70s, and it cost £2.59 over 40 years ago. I know inflation is one it isn't, but come on, £2.50 over 40 years ago. That was a lot of money then. And metal tapes, as far as I know, as far as I remember, were never cheap. I used to look at them and think, how good are they? What are they all about? And so once I bought a metal tape, I think it cost me about £5 in the early to mid-90s, put it into Be Get All Blasted, did some recording, and went, what was that all about? Sounding rubbish, it didn't sound as good as a Maxell URs I was using. And that's true, because not every deck can take advantage of a metal tape. And that's the thing with metal tapes. You need to have a deck that not only you can calibrate properly, but also has enough, I don't want to say power, but can actually drive it, because a metal tape is harder to write to. It's harder to get the magnetic coercivity on there compared to, say, a Type 2 or a ferric. So you need to have a deck that is able to handle them. Now, ferrics, metals usually came in, I like to think, 3 categories. Okay, we had sort of like, the entry-level stuff. This was an entry-level metal from the late 80s from Sony. It had a plastic shell, and I don't even think this is a screw shell. This is a sealed shell, and this is like where they sort of came to. I mean, you had the TDK MAs as well, and the Maxell MXs, and those were sort of the entry level. Then you went up a bit in quality, and you had stuff like this, the TDK MAX, which is like the MA, but the X version, like the SA and the X, which were a more premium metal, more premium shell with a more premium price. And then you went up and up again and again until you had the likes of this, which is the TDK MAXG. There's the MAR there, which was its forebearer, and these had like an alloy metal shell round them. Heaviest tape ever. Some people think this is the best tape ever. There's certainly some of the most expensive tapes ever, and certainly are now. And these are basically, the pinnacle. You had stuff like the Sony Metal Master, and you have the Maxell Metal Vertex and the That Suono Metal, the top-end, top-tier metals. And nowadays, let's be honest here, the MAXG, you're going to be lucky to get one of these of the MAR for less than £50. I mean, this is one of my favourite metals of all time, the 85 Maxell MX. I love these cassettes, and I have so few of them left that even though I've got a web store, they ain't on the web store, because I ain't selling them, because I plan on using them, because they're just wonderful, wonderful cassettes. But again, this one, if you wanted to buy this off me, I'd want £35 off you, and even then, I probably wouldn't take it, because I don't know when I'd see another one. We have some of the earlier stuff like this one, the PD Magnetics, so that's Philips DuPont Media. This is a very early metal of theirs. And then we went up to what some people might consider the best metal ever, which is the last version of the MAXG. I mean, you just look at that. It doesn't have the metal shell, but this was advertised as being engineered as the best cassette ever. The advert had a strip down of this with all the pictures of how it's made and handmade, and it's got all the screws. There's a big variety of metal tapes. So you're probably thinking now, oh, Tony, which one of these are you going to rip open and play today? I'm not. That's the point. This is kind of the thing with the video. These are all very expensive cassettes. Luckily, I have some that are opened in all of the categories I've talked about, so we can use them. For example, this is the 1992 version of the TDK MA. This is like one of the ones which I bought in the day and was disappointed with, but now I know what I'm actually doing. You know, it's a bit different. And then a bit notch up on this, a more premium one, which I think is one of the best tapes ever. That's MRX Pro Metal. This is an 87 version. And yeah, for the top end, I haven't got any of the top end ones open. You know, like an MAR, I don't have an MAR sealed, and bugger it. You know what? You're a long time dead, and I'll be a long time dead. There we go. We'll have this nice MAR, and literally just doing that literally was like taking £40 and just screwing it up and throwing it in the fire. But what a tape. I mean, let's just have a look at this. I mean, what a tape. It feels like a small Walkman. It feels like a small electrical device. It's, you know, beautiful. It's got full Perspex face around this alloy frame. You know, the right protect tabs there. You can switch them off and on so you don't have to snap them out. It is a work of art. It really is a work of art. It's a piece of industrial art. So we're going to take these three and we're going to have a play with them. And hopefully by the end of it, you'll be able to understand why these tapes were made, why they were expensive, and why, even though normal people who aren't into cassettes will wonder what's wrong with you for buying them, you'll understand why you would anyway. Okay, so I'm going to use my Dragon for this again. Well, we're using top-end tapes. I might as well make them sound as good as they can, because this ultimately isn't a scientific video. It's not a knowledge video. It's a video for new guys who are wondering what the fuss about metal is, and it's more of like a glamour video, if you will, with a bit of filth in it. Just so you can appreciate why people would buy metal tapes. So I'm not even going to calibrate it for this MA50 because I've already done that, and you don't want to be sitting here watching me calibrate tapes. How boring is that? And besides, in this context, we're not doing any comparisons and we're not trying to show what the formula's like. We're just going to enjoy them. So I'm going to try again to let you listen to Fires in Paradise, the song which I've got coming out next month, as opposed to on the Knack Ferromaster video where it just went all warbly. So let's start this recording. Okay, as you can tell, it's not a new tape, this one, and let's try again. Now this is peaking at around 8.
Silence is easy when you've got nothing to say.
Stop listening to the source.
Lying is easy. It's just a game that you play.
And back to the tape.
Money is easy when it's the path that you choose. Hiding is easy when it's your guilt that you lose. I look at the change and wonder why. Oh, all around,
Bit of sauce.
it was sweet and
Pretty good, eh? Peaking at +8, and because we're recording it so hot, you don't really notice a hiss. Yes, metal tapes are inherently hissier than, say, a good chrome or a good Type 2 ferrocobalt, but because you can ride them so hot, it sort of becomes a non-issue. And this one, like I say, this is about as entry-level as metals get, except for maybe the late Maxell U metal CDs with the all-clear shell, which are incredibly cheap-looking but incredibly good-sounding. So, let's go on to metal number 2. Okay, the next one I'm going to use now is a bit more premium, I think, anyway. They were more premium in the day, certainly, because they were harder to find and more expensive, and they're certainly more premium now, but it's the That's MRX Pro. And the strange thing is that That's, unlike other brands, actually started out making metal tape first, and then went into making cobalt.ferric and ferric. So they did it the other way around. That's what I like about Taiyo Yuden. They're always a bit different. Now, I know we weren't going on about biasing and levels, but this tape actually does level and bias almost identically to the TDK MA we just had. So maybe it was for compatibility. Who knows? But let's have a bit more of Fires in Paradise. Source.
Blindness is easy when it's a song.
And now back to the tip.
Suffering is easy when it's not by your hand. War is easy when you don't hold the gun.
Okay, so honestly, I thought the MA sounded better. I was hearing a bit of distortion in that, and the treble wasn't quite there. However, that's taken in context. You know, if you're always monitoring source, tape, you're going to notice differences. But don't get me wrong, that sounded really good. It really did sound good. But I thought the MA sounded better. Okay, a couple of things. We've got this obsession with running tapes hot. The hotter you run them, i.e. the higher the dBs they peak at, that means you have to use less volume on your amplifier. That means you don't notice a hiss. But I was just listening to them again, and I don't think it was doing them much favours. Yes, they handle 7. Yes, look, woo, 7, 8 dB, it handled them. But I don't think it needs them. So this one, the MAR, you've got to think this has got 1982 formulation metal tape in an amazing shell. The last 2 tapes that I played you have between 5 and 10 years of development of tape in them, so the tape might be better. But this one, I'm not going to run quite as hot, because I want you to just appreciate how good they are. You don't have to run them that hot just to get a decent recording off them. So let's finish off Fires in Paradise. In fact, I'm going to take it from just before the bit we clipped off there, because we've got a nice synth solo bit coming in. And let's have a listen to the MAR, which I'm going to turn down a bit. I'm not going to have it peaking quite as hot.
Nothing's wrong, but one question, what are you gonna say on Judgment Day?
go back to the source. And now, back to the tape.
We are always being judged in a world full of thugs in suits and ties on TV, spouting their lies. Can we show them we can fight for what's right and what's ours, not theirs, in a world that still cares? There are fires in paradise, so stop looking the other way. The road is long, stop pretending nothing's wrong. If you try your best, then you won't need to pray on Judgment Day.
And ladies and gentlemen, that was an MAR recorded in a Dragon, taken from a non-compressed digital source. Oh bloody hell, am I turning into an audiophile? Shoot me! Shoot me now! So, if you've got yourself a nice heavyweight vinyl and you want to make a copy of it so that you don't have to wear out your vinyl and you can just play the tape, then don't get a metal. No, metal's not your right tape for that. For that you want a nice pure chrome or a really good ferro cobalt like an SAX or an XL2S or something like that. That will give you the analog warmth you crave. You see, here's the thing about metal. Metal is trebly, sharp almost. It's almost like they're trying to be digital. Now, here's the thing. If you've got, say, a lossless album that you really want on cassette, or you stream from Cobos or something and you really want that album on a cassette and you want it as perfect as possible, but chances are if it's a modern album, it's something that was recorded on a laptop all in the box and it's never seen analog, then get a metal tape, because metal is very good at capturing the digital sterility almost of modern music. They're ahead of the time. Now is the time that metal tapes could really come into the fore, but unfortunately they haven't been made for decades. So recording metal tapes, especially brand new ones, to me it's a bit like going on a drinking binge. It's expensive, it's lots of fun, but you don't want to do it all the time. And that's the point. It's like this one, yeah? I wasn't joking when I said when I tore the wrapper off this. I'm a retailer. This went from a cassette that I could sell to something that's secondhand now and worth half of what it was with the wrapper on. This 40 quid, but you know what it is? Like I said, you're a long time dead. So it's like the drinking binges. Don't do it all the time, but a little of what you fancy does you good. And so, if you're curious about metal tapes, get yourself a good deck. Make sure you've got a good deck, because like I say, not all decks can make the most out of a good metal. Get yourself a good deck. Make sure it's something you really, really want on tape. And as a treat, just go and buy yourself a metal tape or two and enjoy them, and know that you're at the pinnacle really of how cassettes can sound. However, I must caveat that with one warning. TDK metal tapes that are still sealed from the early 90s. Now, this one is sealed, right? An MAX, very good tape. But these have been known to have a white powder problem where the tape is broken down. If you look on tape heads, you'll see talk about it, and I've experienced this. I don't know if you can see it if I bring it into the camera, but look at the tape pack here. It's sort of mottled. It's got a bit of a dandruffy sort of effect on it. Let's see if I can focus in on it so you can see. It's not pure black, it's grey, it's got stripes in it. So this one is not a cassette I can use or a cassette I can sell. It's simply something that I have. So that's the only caveat. Be careful on these ones. Not just the MAX, but the MA of the same sort of vintage. But other than that, metals are expensive. You don't want to use them all the time. But as far as I'm concerned, if you really want to make an accurate copy of a CD or a digital source, these are the most accurate way of doing it. And it's just a shame that they're so damned expensive, because basically you got to be nuts to record on them. You could buy a copy of the source or another CD for less than it would cost for one of these tapes. But when did hobbies have to make sense? It's as simple as that. When did going out for dinner have to make sense? You go out for dinner, you have an expensive meal, fillet steak, you know what? It all ends up in the same place as if you'd gone to McDonald's. It's got the same end effect. Only one costs a lot more than the other. The difference is that this doesn't have the same end effect as using a cheaper tape. You've got something there that you'll always treasure. So thanks for watching. Please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. And don't forget, I've got next to none of these tapes for sale on CassetteComeback.com because I like them so much, I'm going to use them myself because I'm greedy. And that's why it shouldn't be that you should sell products that you actually like. I should maybe go and sell, I don't know, hair dryers, something I couldn't care about, because then it would just be a product and I'd maximise my profit. These, they should be sold, they would sell fast, but I ain't doing. And that's a strange thing. Some things do not make sense, and hobbies certainly don't make sense. So go and get yourself some metal tapes. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like, and I'll see you next time. Bye.